Crazy does not even accurately describe what we saw in the stock market today. As the inflation data was reported this morning in pre-market, the stock market plummeted, and then after open, it started to slowly come back up and actually close green by a good amount. In this video, we're going to explain what is going on in this crazy market, why the market reversed, some stocks to watch tomorrow, and the important things you need to learn from today's inflation data. Today was wild, so we have a lot to talk about. Make sure to stick with us in today's video. Tom, let's get right into it.
Yeah, CPI actually came in 0.4% in September, which is more than expected. And of course, we saw some inflation across the board fall. If we look at all the numbers we've been looking at all week long, like the core inflation rate and the inflation rate year over year for September, the year over year rate actually fell 0.1% from the previous reading, but the core ended up rising 0.3%. And that CPI, like we said, came in higher as well. So overall, Mike, these inflation numbers showed that inflation is still edging a little bit higher. Now, while the year-over-year headline rate did fall a little bit, it was still above the 8.1% consensus. So not good for the market, and we tanked down. But like you said, it was absolutely nuts today. I cannot believe that the SPY ended up in the green, up 2.64%. And whenever I look at some of these articles today, there is some crazy statistics. This was the widest range on the S&P 500 since March of 2020, from the low of day to high of day, and the Dow rose 1,400 points from intraday lows all the way up to highs today. So what a crazy recovery, Mike. And honestly, I feel really bad for a lot of traders. I'm sure a lot of people started running into puts when they saw the market down this morning, and man, that reversal would just shocked, I think, the whole market.
No doubt. It was just such a crazy day. So we're going to talk a lot about the price action in just a minute, but I want to talk a little bit more on what's actually going on in the market right now, because I know it can be confusing. So Tom, let's head over to trading economics really quickly, and let's look at the chart of the inflation rate year over year. We can see that it came in at 8.2% today. It peaked at 9.1% in June. Basically, this shows how inflation has been year over year for each month. We can see it peaked in June, and it has been slowly coming down. It's 8.2% right now year over year, and everyone was expecting 8.1%. Remember, we want inflation as low as possible, or at least close to like 2 to 2.5% right now. Considering it came in higher than expectations, that's why the market sold off at first, and that's why everyone started to panic. The reason why the market reversed and magically started rising to the upside is a different story. That cannot be explained as easily because it has more to do with just investor sentiment today. Looking at the stock market, Tom, like you mentioned a couple minutes ago, it was a wild ride, and it was one of the largest ranges in years for these big indices, and like I said, there's not a clear explanation, but it's just investors don't care. They're just buying the dip right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really weird phenomenon, Mike, but right now we're starting to see stocks on the daily chart get to extreme lows. And when I say extreme, I mean, this is pretty extreme this year for the SPY to be down 20% plus where we were earlier this week. So to see us like right here where we're at now, obviously we're still down a lot, Mike. And overall, I just think a lot of investors are starting to see the macroeconomic charts, and they're starting to say, well, hey, some of these companies are extremely low, and I think it might be time to start getting into some of these, like Meta, Disney, even some safer ones like Apple. Microsoft has been making new yearly lows. That one had a very nice day today, up 3.76% for one of the bigger stocks in the market. And like I said, Mike, I feel like a lot of investors are starting to see the market just down so much, and a lot of them are starting to run back in. But I will say, Mike, today was very crazy the way we popped up. The market is a little bit overbought, obviously, intraday, but we have seen these types of plays before, and they have continued before. So keep your eye out for tomorrow. We could definitely see more great price action like we saw today. And who knows, maybe this will start to kick off a nice uptrend for us, kind of like we had back in August.
Yeah, and check this out. Tom, I know we talked about this a little bit before the start of the video, but go to a daily chart on the SPY, right? Daily chart on the SPY, we can see that the candle today was just wild. We opened a lot lower and then just exploded up. I cannot ignore how similar this candle is to the candle on February 24th. Giant gap down, and then it just ran up and closed very high. This was actually the day where Russia invaded Ukraine, and the days after were pretty good for the most part. So I just wanted to draw that comparison because these candles are awfully similar.
Yeah, it really does look very close. I was kind of circling it there while you were talking. Yeah, that was a pretty similar setup there. And like you said, a couple green days followed that one big explosive day. So hopefully we continue to see that good momentum. And it made me happy that today it was very explosive, but we actually got up through resistance, which was nice. We've been talking about the 355 and the 360 resistance over the past couple weeks, and we blasted right up through that like they didn't even mean anything today. It was almost like butter the way the market started flying up through some of these big levels. But yeah, it's going to be crazy, Mike. Hopefully that continuation does happen. And that was a fantastic comparison there. And looking at the heat map today, this is actually the heat map from early this morning, you guys. So that shows how bad it was this morning. Now the heat map is seriously in the green. So you can see that difference there on that heat map. We went from bright red to, I mean, my eyes are almost burning with how bright green this is.
There we go. So, yeah, crazy. And there's a couple reasons as to why we're seeing this, guys. There's not just one specific news event or stock that's bringing the market higher. It has to do with a mix of just sometimes the stock market being whack, but also with the dollar falling, with interest rates calming down a little bit, with shorts covering, with speculative traders. Like, when things are bad, we see accelerated sell-offs to the downside. When stocks start to rise, you have momentum traders coming in and making the stocks rise even quicker. And then on top of all that, you have all the computerized trading systems nowadays. So there's a bunch of little factors all happening at once that result in these types of moves.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm actually looking through a lot of the yields here, Mike, and a lot of these yields today, like, for example, the 30-year government bond here actually closed up pretty high. I know it was a lot higher in the morning, but with the way SPY closed up around highs, I almost expected some of these rates to start to fall off a little bit. But looking at that 2-year yield, Mike, USO2Y on TradingView for anybody interested, that was a crazy day out of this. It even ended up 4.22%, which is kind of blowing my mind. And then looking at some other things in the market like GLD, this one actually really recovered. It didn't end up back in the green, but very good recovery out of gold today as the dollar started falling off.
There we go. One stock I'm really watching is Disney. It is currently bouncing off of a giant support level right around $90 a share, which is that low of the entire year for Disney. Disney stock is great for trading, in my opinion, because it's a nice blend of good moves and good volatility, but not insane volatility, if you know what I mean. There are just certain stocks out in the market that are like almost too volatile where they're hard to trade because they're too crazy, Disney, in my opinion, offers that nice blend of good movement, but also good trends where it's like not too hard to trade. So I am watching Disney over the next couple days. They're bouncing off the yearly low, and hey, they have momentum to the upside.
Mike, that support that Disney bounced off of today is blowing my mind. I've had this support on my chart for a long time, and you can see it actually touched perfectly right at market open. And whenever we go out to that yearly chart, look at how long the support has held up. This support has been holding up all the way since 2015, 2016, guys. So look out. That's a great double bottom here and a great reversal, Mike. I think that's a fantastic pick and might even be a good swing opportunity for the next few weeks. But one of my favorite stocks that's actually a little bit safer than a lot of the stocks that we usually mention on here, at least in my opinion, is McDonald's. And now McDonald's had a pretty good day themselves. Ended up 4.09%. The daily chart, or that's the weekly chart, the daily chart actually looks pretty good here. Very explosive days were coming up. We might see a bit of continuation here. And the good thing about McDonald's that I like is it's one of those slower moving stocks that investors, they kind of like to park their money there during times of volatility. So hopefully McDonald's holds up a lot better than other stocks if the market still continues to be volatile.
Awesome. Another one I'm watching is WBD. Not too many people pay attention to this stock just yet. It's Warner Bros. Discovery. They're up 7% today. So they definitely move, but they don't have that same hype that other stocks do. Like, I feel like a lot of traders aren't necessarily watching WBD that much, but there's still opportunity. This stock is trading at an amazing valuation. I've been buying shares for the long term on this one, and I think it's at an amazing valuation. But anyways, and for the short term, it's also bouncing off of yearly lows right around like you could say like low or low 11s. It has good momentum to the upside. It's at a good level, so it's definitely on my watch list for like the next week or two to the upside.
Nice, Mike. And for anybody who doesn't know, like, what does WBD do? Are they like, do they get into streaming? I mean, I know they do stuff with movies and shows and obviously like superhero stuff and different things like that, but their main stuff is like streaming, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they were actually a part of AT&T, and there was like a spinoff. So that's one of the reasons why we saw so much selling pressure with this stock this year. Basically, a lot of investors who buy AT&T because of their dividends. WBD does not pay dividends, so a lot of those types of investors sold off their WBD shares when the conversion / spinoff happened, which is part of the reason there's such a big opportunity with it. But long story short, yes, they're pretty big in the streaming and entertainment industry and stuff like that.
Yeah, it looks like a fantastic opportunity. And again, amazing chart down here. Nice double bottom, good support. And, it's definitely oversold. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Looks pretty huge. And Mike, we can't go one day without me mentioning chip stocks, right? Here we have AMD here, one of my favorite stocks for this nice recovery. If the market keeps bouncing up, I think AMD could definitely be one of those stocks to watch for the next couple weeks. They had a huge recovery today, right up to that $60 resistance. I think if they start blasting above 60 tomorrow, it could make for a really good potential day trade. So while I don't necessarily agree with maybe necessarily buying AMD right now for the longer term and going all in on it, I think it's a good time to start averaging in. But my main thing for it is going to be this day trade tomorrow up above 60. That's a huge level.
Perfect. All right, Tom. Well, let's give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, which is Greg O in the YouTube comments. Thank you so much for the support in the YouTube comments. It means a lot, and the comments really help us grow the channel. So Tom and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support, Greg O in the YouTube comments. But Tom, you know what time it is. Momentum plays. With the first one, we have Intel to the upside.
Good old Intel. Yeah, really explosive moves today. Go ahead and make them break that intraday resistance right around 26.50.
All right, with the next one, we have Starbucks, also to the upside.
Hey, as Cornish always calls it, pumpkin spice, right? Let's go ahead and make them break out above $90 and shout out to Cornish there.
Here we go. With the next one, we have Meta, also to the upside.
META. Wow, nice triple top today. Let's go ahead and make them break out above 131. And I was extremely happy to see them go green today. I've been loving Meta over the past few months.
Same. So for Meta, Starbucks, and Intel, we are watching these three stocks for potential day trades to the upside tomorrow, only if they break above the levels Tom listed. But guys, we cannot forget about why tomorrow is also set to be a pretty big day. Tom, fill us in.
Yeah, we have some huge bank earnings, guys. It's not going to be the biggest event of the week, but this week has already been insane with all the inflation data and everything like that coming out. In the morning, we are going to have JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, PNC. Guys, this is just getting insane here. A lot of these banks had amazing recoveries today. Look at JP Morgan up 5.56%. That is a huge move back to the upside. Bank of America, same thing. Huge jump. Wells Fargo, amazing recovery. Hopefully these banks start to report good numbers with rates being higher. I know that should help banks a little bit. Obviously, it should help with some profits. So hopefully they report some good numbers, Mike. I know a lot of people have been saying banks are positioned pretty well, and hey, let's hope they're right because they are at very good levels, and that is going to be a big thing to watch tomorrow. It's going to be right before open, of course, guys. So be on the lookout for that. Most of these moves will probably happen in pre-market.
Awesome. So we know there's a lot of volatility in the market right now. If you guys are looking to capitalize on some of these short-term opportunities, check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. If you do decide to sign up for our options alerts, you will have your first month discounted automatically. Today's alert was with GLD for $182 each, and the calls went from $182, which is where it was alerted, all the way up to $305 in just a couple hours. So that's a 67% pop up. So like I said, if you're looking to, capture some of this short-term volatility, definitely check out that first link in the description, in the comments, in the description down below. You get access to day trades, swing trades, custom bots, an amazing private community. You can chat with Tom and myself all day long. And in the worst case scenario, you can cancel at any time. And like I said, right now we have a coupon running, so you will get an automatic discount automatically applied at checkout. So definitely check it out. It's that first link in the description and the comments down below. Tom, do you have any final thoughts before we close out?
Yeah, I figured I'd mention one more thing. Obviously, there's just been so much news this week, Mike. It's kind of hard to keep up with everything. But tomorrow, guys, we do have retail sales coming out in the morning right before open. So be on the lookout for that. And then we do have the Michigan consumer sentiment coming out at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So those might also affect the market. But I would guess bank earnings probably steal the show tomorrow. But figured I'd mention it here.
I agree. Great stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's end the week strong.